Alrighty there. Alright, it's suddenly Jim Carrey or something? No, it's Marky Billson. Your voice of choice for a new generation of Tri-City sports fans. Name of the program, you know it, Tri-City Sports Now. We got the best guests and the hardest hitting opinions in the market. Who are these wonderful guests that we have today? I mean, I can do the show, I've done it a million times before, all by myself. But we like to share the, there are other people as brilliant as I like to put them on from time to time. You can also, of course, listen to this program at jetbroadcasting.live. We are now more than 2,000 likes on Facebook. Most liked and followed sports radio station in the market. There is one other entity that does broadcasting. It's all Facebook Live, and we are on, I don't want to tell you what it is. I don't want to give them free advertising, but we're on that person's, we're nipping at their heels. Okay, so it's a matter of, I think this morning, last I looked, we were 16 likes behind him. Okay, about the same. All this, Market 102. In New York City, WFAN has 64,000 likes. So, that's why I have Tony Page on. That sort of thing. Steve Summers. I love WFAN. I love Vito Stellino. He'll be joining me at 1:30. We're going to talk about who's going to win the Super Bowl. And the NFL action, which begins again in earnest tomorrow. Then, on the show's second hour, at 1 o'clock, SG1 Sports. Are you familiar with these guys? They are on YouTube. They do a lot of videos, and they just did a computer simulation. I say just, they did it last month. But they just finished up all their college football teams for 2019 and simulated the entire season. Who's going to win the national title? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Talked about this a little bit before. They simulated the 2019 Vols season. I didn't quite get it because they had the Vols at 5-7. Okay, well, let's say it's a legitimate pick, but I didn't quite get some of the games that they said the Vols were going to lose and some of the games the Vols were going to win. And I'll come back through that. It's not that, for instance, they had the Vols losing to Vanderbilt. I think it could happen. I actually, it's 5 out of 7 for Vandy. With the game being at home and Kyle Shermer not around for Vandy anymore, I'm not necessarily, you put a gun to my head right now and say who's going to win that game, I'd tell you Tennessee. And I'm not a huge home field advantage person, but hey, the majority, if you want to go right now, who's going to win, what is it, 3 months before the game is played, there you go. That's who I'll tell you. But is it up, who's going to win Georgia State? Well, you would think Tennessee, but you got to kick the ball off, that sort of thing. And that would seem to be one of the more likely victories. I know it's happened the last 7 years, but still, I think that Vandy's lost some talent. Of course, then again, I'm also the guy that says Jared Guarantano ain't all that good. Anyway, it could happen, but that's a game I'd pick for Tennessee right now. Well, they got Vandy winning it. So, they got some games that are closer. They got Tennessee playing Alabama reasonably close. Well, what's going on here? Of course, sometimes you wonder, is that the video game appeal? There has not been a college football video game from EA Sports since 2014 because of the Ed O'Bannon case, in which Ed O'Bannon, the former UCLA basketball player, sued the NCAA because and EA Sports, they used his likeness on one of the games for college basketball and did not remunerate him. He did not get any... he didn't get any coin for the use of his image. And they were basically, they were selling his stardom for the game. I don't blame them. I actually think this is probably a place where the NCAA should back off. And, talked about how out in California there's legislation that says, they're going to allow the football players for, let's say, Southern California or San Jose State, for that matter, to use their likeness. They would be reimbursed for the use of their likeness. That's not a picture in the paper, but if you wanted to have EA Sports College Football 2019, and you wanted to put a UCLA football player on the cover, let's say, or San Diego State, or whoever. I mean, Stanford. They wanted to put. You'll remunerate your coaches. They'll pay the coaches for their likeness. They won't pay the players. That's what I don't get. Why do they just disband again? Why do they put? If you want to be that hardline, put the coach on. I don't get it. Of course, I don't get why Steve Forbes can do ads for a local car dealer, but Jerome Rodriguez cannot. I don't get that. Oh. And I think it's an antiquated 1800s law, 19th century law. You know, I mean, back in the debate, well, what if it will corrupt sports if we have them play for pay? Yeah, it did. That's where we're at right now, though, you know what I mean? We can talk history, though. So anyways, SG1 Sports, they've done this simulation. I want to ask them, how do you simulate the 2019 season on the 2014 game? How do you do that? Stands reasoning. What do you come up with? What do you think will happen? There used to be a big, tabletop baseball. I mean, that's, antiquated now. Some of the initial versions of sports video games I used to play, those that were more, I liked them that were more strategic based. I hated, let's say, they started bringing out the ones where the joystick would I could never maneuver a joystick to save my life, and that sort of thing, and we're going to have the pressure on what you can pitch for this game. Mind over thumbs. As I said, I want to talk a little bit and begin this. Marky's monologue will be about the Tennessee Volunteers, and I'm going to reiterate some of the things that I've said over the years on this program, but I think they bear repeating because, as we said yesterday, there have been a lot of, rankings. We're going to get this a lot throughout the season. Sports Illustrated, ESPN, that sort of thing. Who are the 10 greatest football coaches in the history of college football? 150th anniversary of Rutgers 6, Princeton 4. They played twice. They split their games that year. But it's the 150th anniversary of college football, so we're going to have a lot of, these are the all-time great programs. These are the all-time great coaches. Sports Illustrated ranked the top 10 coaches. They ranked Bear Bryant number 1. Okay. They ranked, the ESPN ranked the all-time programs. I didn't like this because they put programs like Wisconsin, Whitewater, and Linfield, and I know that, they deserve, credit, but, to try to equate and tell me that North Dakota State is the 10th greatest college football program of all time, they've been dominant both in D2 and certainly in FCS, but FCS, and I'm a big proponent of FCS football. I'm a big proponent of the Southern Conference. I'm the guy that says, hey, it is D1. Hey, ETSU is the home team. Hey, come basketball season, certainly. I mean, that's your major league team. But I've never said that the football program at ETSU is the big league team in town. Because they're not big league. They play for an FCS title that really, outside of North Dakota State and James Madison, who cares about it? And that's just the bold, hard truth. Okay, now a mid-major in basketball, everybody cares about who wins the NCAA tournament. I think they care about who wins the College World Series. FCS, I think that if you went to Los Angeles and you said, okay, when did North Dakota State start winning FCS title? Who is the FCS national champion? You would probably get the majority of people. Let's say you took the poll in the LA Coliseum at a Southern California Trojans game. I don't think they could name it, the majority of the fans. And I think the majority of fans not only couldn't name it, they would come back and say, who cares? That's like asking who won the International League Championship in baseball or the Pacific Coast League Championship. No, you care about the World Series. And I'm a big proponent. When we talk ETSU, probably on this show more than anybody. But I don't think you can say that an FCS program is one of the 50 greatest. Now, Yale, yeah, I do think you can say that because in the 19th century, that was the dominant program in college football. And you're talking about all time. All time includes 19th century. End of discussion, okay? I think maybe Yale deserves it more than Florida State. Florida State didn't start playing football until, what, 47? But still, you are looking at, when you're putting Linfield, Wisconsin, Whitewater, you're equating the Ivy League and a lot of those Ivy League teams. And you're equating also, I think, Penn's, say, recent Ivy League success with Yale's historic success. I'm not down with that. I don't think that's proper. And that was one of the criticisms I had of that poll. But okay, we're talking history. And I will get to this. I think I'm going to get to this in the second part and read my monologue there. You get the idea of what we're trying to lead up into for today's show. Because I've got about 2.5 minutes before I'm supposed to take a break. And I don't feel like trying to delay that break and then read to you my monologue here. I figure I'll do it in the second segment. So let me just do, and let me just go there, if you will. And, boy, a lot of things to talk about here. Certainly the baseball pennant races heat up. The Braves have won 3 in a row. They got a 6-game lead now on the Nationals. Guys, they don't have Chief Nakahoma's teepee up anymore. Okay, I really think this race is over. And I really think we can start talking about the Atlanta Braves. Okay, what kind of a worthy adversary are they to the Dodgers for National League supremacy come the playoffs? In some ways, I don't like this because I do think that, I don't like wild cards in baseball. You see where Goose Gossage is now, and a lot of others have just said the game is unwatchable, and I'm not sure he's wrong. Of course, what with the generational divide, perhaps the generational divide greater than it has ever been. But then again, what divides in our society are not greater than they have ever been. Certainly political divides, generational divides, and all this. When you hear the criticisms of modern baseball, you do get a lot of, oh, that's old man speak, get off my lawn, all of this. Abe Simpson memes. I think when you look at the attendance going down, when you look at the fact that millennials aren't watching this sport, maybe you should not double down on New Coke and Miley Cyrus's tattoos. Maybe you should double down on what the game was when it was the most popular in the country, and when Miley Cyrus didn't look like she had graffiti on her arms. It just, wasn't a twerking gargoyle, that phase that'll stay with her for the rest of her life, that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm Marky Billson, and I can get to my monologue on why the Tennessee Volunteers cannot rely on their history to be great again. That's the topic. Come back to it after this on Tri-City Sports Now.